This Royal Enfield 350 Bullet crankshaft is from a very early 50s Scrambler, and it came out of an engine from a bike my father owns. The big end went in it and we had another crank sort of laying around which was in good order, so we just put it in. But recently I've stripped this one down and checked everything over, and it turned out that I could clean up the crank pin and unblock the oil ways which had metal from the floating bush hammered into them, so they're all clear now. The crank pin actually had no wear on it whatsoever. In fact, it just cleaned up really nice and as new, so I put a new floating bush in. I've got a conrod which I've polished, and the big end bush in it, or the hard eye, is fine. It's a lovely fit on the new floating bush, so I put it all together. The small end is good, gudgeon pins fit in there nicely. So I've got a nice crank put together, and interestingly, I don't know whether the camera will pick it up. Yeah, it should do. There's a letter S on the flywheels there. Now, as I say, this crank came out of a Scrambler, factory Scrambler, so whether the letter S denotes anything to do with that or not, I don't know. It also had a fairly interesting piston in it, which looked like it was from a pre-war Triumph Tiger 80 single. But anyway, I digress. I've trued it up, and I'm very happy with this one. We've got the imperial gauge on this side and the metric gauge on this side, and basically we've got, on the metric one, to do it in thousandths of an inch, this is 0 to 5 is 5 thousandths of an inch. The 0 to the 10 on this one, that's 1/10 of a millimetre, so from there to there is 4 thousandths of an inch. And when I rotate the crank between the centres, we're getting between 2.5 and 3 thousandths of an inch. If we say 3 thousandths of an inch, we're actually less than that on this side, and on this side we're less than 2 thousandths of an inch, probably about 1.5. So if we say 3 thousandths of an inch maximum there and 1.5 thousandths of an inch there, we've actually got a total discrepancy of 1.5 thousandths of an inch, because the needles on both gauges are moving in the same direction at the same time by all but 1.5 thousandths of an inch, the same amount. So the overall run out on this crankshaft is 1.5 thousandths of an inch at those main shafts, which I'm very, very happy with. I don't know, I don't have an engine in particular set aside for this crank, but I've got a few crank cases and bits and pieces around, so I may well build up an engine out of this. I've got a brand new early 50s Bullet cylinder head, so I think I could make up something rather good out of this lot. So this crank will be put on one side and used in a future project. I've just put this together while I'm waiting for a rebore to be done for the latest ASBO project, which is number 35. Hopefully the cylinder for that will be ready later and I can get back on with that, but this filled in a bit of time while I was waiting, and I'm very, very pleased with the result. That'll be a very smooth running engine that gets that crank.